Hello, my name is Mark McClish, and welcome to part 2 of this video series on statement analysis, detecting deception by analyzing how a person phrases his statement. In part 1, I talked about examining the specific words a person uses, how to determine exactly what a person is telling you based on how the subject phrased his statement. In this segment, I'm going to talk about some unique words deceptive people like to use. The first unique word I want to talk about is the word just. There are several ways you can use the word just. For example, in talking about someone, you might say, he is a just person. Most of the time, the word just is used to minimize things. People may use the word just to minimize time. He just left the building. We don't know when the person left the building, but it's an indication it was very recently. What you want to look for is when a person uses the word just to minimize his actions. There's a husband who came home and found his wife had been murdered. In talking to the police, he told them, I just came home and found that my wife was dead. You don't need the word just in that statement. However, the husband needs to use the word just. It appears he's not minimizing time, because it's been a couple of hours since he found his wife's body. Therefore, it appears to use the word just to minimize his actions. The word just indicates there was more going on than what he was telling the police. Eventually, the husband confessed that he killed his wife. In December 2013, Bruce Jenner met with a doctor to discuss having his Adam's apple shaved. TMZ got word of this and asked Jenner why he's having this procedure. Jenner told TMZ, I just never liked my trachea. Jenner's use of the word just indicates he was minimizing why he's having this procedure. In 2015, he admitted he's transitioning from a man to a woman. Jenner wasn't ready to reveal that in 2013. However, because he knew the real reason why he's having this procedure, it caused him to use the word just. Kathy Augustine was a Nevada state politician. On July 8, 2006, Augustine's husband, Chaz Higgs, found his wife unconscious in their Reno home. Higgs called 911, and Augustine was rushed to the hospital. Because of her status as a politician, the media showed up at the hospital. Chaz Higgs, in talking to the press, told them, I just checked her out. She wasn't breathing. She had no pulse, so I started CPR. Augustine spent several days in the hospital unconscious and then died. It looked like she had a heart attack, but it's unusual for a 50-year-old woman to have a heart attack. So they performed an autopsy. And during the autopsy, they found a small injection spot on her body. Her husband, Chaz Higgs, is a nurse. He was convicted of giving his wife an injection of a paralyzing drug that caused her death. That's probably why he used the word just. He was minimizing what he was doing the day his wife fell unconscious. The next unique word I'm going to talk about is the word with. The word with indicates distance within the sentence. You'll see something mentioned before this word and something mentioned after this word. The word with separates them. For example, in the statement, I went bowling with Joe. We see the subject is at the beginning of the sentence and Joe is at the end of the sentence. There's a reason why the subject created distance between himself and Joe. He may have used the word with because he didn't want to go bowling. He may have used the word with because he doesn't like Joe. Then again, he may have used the word with because he is lying about going bowling. Had he gone bowling and was a willing participant, he probably would have said, Joe and I went bowling. In that statement, Joe and our subject are next to each other. The word and connects them together. Several years ago, I was asked to analyze a statement written by a husband whose wife died in an automobile accident. The husband said he and his wife were in their van driving to breakfast. He was driving and she was seated in the front passenger seat. Before they arrived at the restaurant, he decided that nature was calling. So he pulled his van over to the side of the road and jumped out to relieve himself. The only problem was he forgot to put the van in park. Once he stepped out of the van, it continued to move forward and went over a cliff. His wife was killed in this so-called accident. When I looked at his statement about what had happened, I noticed a problem in the very first sentence. The husband began his statement by writing, on Saturday morning I was with my wife Kathy and we were going to have breakfast. The husband created distance between himself and his wife by using the word with. We expect him to say, Kathy and I are going to have breakfast. By using the word with, he was unknowingly telling us there was a problem with their relationship. It doesn't mean he's going to kill her. However, his language does tell us there was some discontent the morning she died. This is an important clue when we're investigating a suspicious death. As I continued to read his statement, I saw other signs of deception that made it clear this was no accident. The husband purposely did not put the van in park and allowed it to roll over the cliff. The jury also saw through his deception, and he was convicted of killing his wife. We see a similar use of the word with when telling a lie in the JonBenet Ramsey case. In December 1996, the body of 6-year-old JonBenet Ramsey was found in the basement of her home in Boulder, Colorado. The cause of death was strangulation coupled with a skull fracture. To this day, no one has been convicted of her murder. The police thought they had a break in the case in 2006 when Mark Karr was arrested in Thailand. Karr had been emailing a professor at the University of Colorado, and the email showed that Karr was obsessed with JonBenet and her death. While detained in Bangkok, Karr is giving statements about the JonBenet case. In one statement to the press, he said, "I was with JonBenet when she died." Notice that Karr used the word with. Why does Karr, who's infatuated with JonBenet, put distance between himself and her? It's not because he does not want to be associated with her death. He was making numerous references to being responsible for JonBenet's death. The reason he used the word with is because it's hard for a person to tell a direct lie, such as, "I killed JonBenet." It was easy for Karr to imply involvement in her death. The police eventually determined that Karr was lying and had nothing to do with JonBenet's death. The word with is a very common word, and we use it all the time. While it does indicate distance, it does not always indicate deception. Often distance is appropriate. The key is to see if there's a better way of saying it. Saying, "My wife and I went on vacation," is a much better statement than saying, "I went on vacation with my wife." If you're interested in learning some more unique words that deceptive people like to use, visit my website at StatementAnalysis.com. I have an on-demand course, and I've written 2 books that cover additional techniques as well as other unique words that can be used to detect deception. Be sure to watch part 3 of my video series on statement analysis, in which I talk about the order people will mention things. Thank you for watching, and remember, people's words will betray them only if someone is listening.